Welcome to Carly Tackles a Rain Barrel System. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel, Carly Tackles DIY, Tools and Gadgets, Tips and Tricks, and make sure you hit that bell to receive notifications when I release new content. Here are the materials that I used for this project. I used a 1/2-inch bulkhead union, a male hose adapter that's going to go from that 1/2 inch and give you that 3/4 inch thread that goes with a garden hose. 2 32-gallon heavy-duty trash cans. You want to make sure that the plastic is bendable, flexible. You don't want it to be that cheap plastic that would crack on you. The Rain Barrel Diverter Kit has almost everything you need, and I saw it at a lot of different hardware stores for around 30 bucks. Then I picked up some silicone exterior waterproof sealant, and then I did need one female hose mender to do my union between the two barrels. This whole project cost me around 88 bucks, and that's for 64-gallon capacity. Some of the other things that you could buy, if you just want that blue plastic drum that's so popular, that's over $90. Or if you want to get one of those rain station kits, that's $180. You can make it yourself for way less. Before you start turning those trash cans into rain barrels, we need to prepare the site. It needs to be a nice level area. Now I have a lot of rock that's pretty deep and I don't want to rake it all up. So instead I'm using a pallet to go on top of that. I'm using a circular saw to cut down the pallet. Pallets are pretty wide and I don't need it to stick out that far. So I'd rather cut it down to fit the space instead of waste my space. After I have the pallet down, I'm adding patio pavers to increase the height. One of your requirements is to have the holes that's drilled into the gutter and the hole drilled into the rain barrel be the same height. Unfortunately, there is a fence post right in the way of my gutter, so I need to raise the rain barrels above the fence post so I can drill that hole. Raising your rain barrels also provides some other benefits in terms of gravity and water flow. The diverter kit has some really good instructions, and it works for gutters that are 3x4 or 2x3. Using a level, you want to place it on top of your trash can and draw a mark on your gutter. Now I have a 3x4 gutter, which means I need to drill the hole into the side. If you have a 2x3, you need to put your hole in the front. For rain barrels that have a lid that's removable, we're going to make that hole 3 inches below the rim. So I measured 3 inches on the gutter below the line that I drew with the level, and I will do the same thing on the rain barrel. This ensures that they are the same height. It's very important that your diverter is level with your trash can. If it's too high, the water won't flow into it correctly, and it can overflow. If it's too low, you're going to have a hard time getting water into your barrel. So it's very important to have those level. Your rain barrel hole must be a minimum of 6 inches away from the hole in the gutter, but a maximum of 28. The diverter kit comes with 3 different hole saws. For this one, we're going to be using the 1.5 inch hole saw. It should be the medium size. And this one is just for the trash can. One little trick that I learned is when you're drilling holes in plastic, it's best to put the drill in reverse. Apparently it cuts smoother. So I start the hole forward until the hole saw meets the plastic, and then I flip it into reverse. Once your hole is drilled, you can insert this rubber ring. To drill the hole in the gutter, we're going to be using the 2 1/8 inch hole saw. This should be the largest one in the kit. Make sure you're wearing gloves and safety glasses. One of the pieces in the instructions is to go slow and take your time. Don't force it. The blade will cut through the metal. Just let it do its thing. And you'll be very happy that you wore gloves because the metal is sharp. This is the diverter, and it has its built-in overflow. So if your trash cans get above that 3 inches, it is designed to allow the overflow to run out the gutter instead of overfilling your trash cans. So that's one of the reasons we have to make sure this is level so it can work properly. Squeeze the sides to help fit into the hole, and then it should expand inside of your gutter. Now with a 3x4, you don't fit against the full gutter, so I'm only going to take up half. But if you had it 2x3, that should go side by side and be snug. The kit includes 2 metal screws to attach your gutter diverter securely to the gutter. This flexible hose comes with a diverter kit. It can expand and shrink as well as bend around corners. While I have that hose in place, I want to mark out where I want to drill the bottom hole. So I'm trying to figure out where on the pavers is the space. So I'm using a marker and marking that gap. Then I remove the bucket from the hose so I can drill out my hose that will connect this rain barrel to the next one. Basically, I'm finding the center. I don't want that hole to be too close to one of those rims. Otherwise, you're going to have possible leaks. I'm using a 1 1/4 inch hole saw. This is the smallest hole saw that came in a kit. The kit included a spigot and a drain valve. If you're just using one rain barrel, you could use that in combination to drain out. But since I'm using 2, I'm repurposing the drain valve to connect to the second rain barrel. This little rubber plug or ring has threads on the inside of it. The instructions say just to push it through the rubber and screw in the adapter. And so I tried it, but I was very skeptical. I thought, this is going to leak water. I really want to use silicone. So I tried it first and just put it in that bottom there, and then I threaded that little adapter right in there, and that would allow you to attach a garden hose to it. And I did give it a shot, and I was right, it leaked water. So if you want to silicone around it first, you can. I'm going to show you how I do that in a little bit. But in the meantime, this is how you install the plastic threaded thing in the plug. I grabbed some plumber's tape. I'm going to wrap it around the threads. Now I always have to think about it, because if you put the tape on backwards, when you go to screw on the hose, it's going to undo it. So I always got to think, which way do I need to wrap it so when I attach the hose, I'm screwing in the same direction as the tape. So that's something to try to think about if you're not used to doing this. Think about which way do you turn the hose. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Like I said before, my water test failed. It did leak. But I did have some waterproof silicone that I'm applying to the plug and inserting into the hole. Now, I put some on the plug before I inserted it. And then I also go around the inside of the tub and the outside, because there's a little wing of sorts on the inside, and then I do it on the outside too. So I'm a big person to try to prevent any water leaking if all possible. I reinsert that threaded piece back into the hole. I want to make sure it's really threaded, but I also don't want to let that plug move because I just put on that silicone. So I'm using channel locks to help hold that plug still. I don't want to disrupt the silicone from drying. I'm letting that first trash can dry. This is the second one. And I'm going to mark out where I want to place this guy's hole to connect to trash can. Now I'm using 1 1/4 inch hole saw, but I realized I shouldn't have done that. The plug I bought for this one was from the store, and I could have got by with a lot smaller hole. Luckily, the rubber ring on this thing is wide enough that it covered that hole, but I should have determined the outer dimension of that thread and used a hole saw a little bit closer to its size. So if you do have other hole saws, use those instead, but if you don't, I do know the 1 1/4 will work for this. I grabbed the plastic bolt and rubber washer and insert it in the trash can. I hold it in there and flip the trash can upright. And then using my silicone seal, I'm trying to apply it around that hole, make sure I get it in there since it's a little bit bigger than my outer threads. Not too bad, but I really want to get it in there to prevent any water from leaking. And then I'm going to grab the plastic washer that came with it and the plastic nut, and hopefully that squishes that silicone in and holds it in place. This nut turns the opposite way you would normally expect. You would turn this one to the left to tighten instead of right. I smear that silicone around that nut, and I also applied silicone on the other side. I just did that off camera since you've seen me do it already. I'm inserting that 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch adapter that I showed you in my materials. I did use some paint tape to thread it, and this will allow you to connect a standard garden hose to this. A standard garden hose has a female end and a male end. Well, for this, I need 2 female ends. So I took a hose that I had that I didn't really care too much about, and I cut off the male end. I grabbed a female mender kit, and you stick it through the hose, and it comes with different types of pipe clamps. This one is very cheap and inexpensive. You can get a little bit more expensive ones if you like, but you just tighten like a standard pipe clamp, and it holds that rubber against the brass insert. And now you have 2 female ends. Again, I apply some plumber's tape to that brass fitting. I'm going to go ahead and attach the hose to this end, and I'm still letting that other rain barrel dry, so I'll attach the hose to that one later. It's time to install our spigot. The instructions say to measure 3 inches from the bottom of your trash can. And we are going to drill a hole using the 1 1/4 inch hole saw that comes with the kit. Again, this is the smallest hole saw that comes in the kit. I must say that reverse trick does cut a nice hole. Takes a little bit longer, just have to have a little bit more patience, but the rubber holes are pretty nice. On the second threaded ring that comes with your kit, apply your silicone and insert it to your hole. It's the same one as the drain hole. I wasn't sure if it's necessary or not, but I just grabbed some plumber's tape and wrapped it around this plastic spigot that came with it. I thought it was probably best to be safe than sorry. I check one more time for level. I did have to use a little wooden shim there to raise it up. You know, pallets are never perfect. Now I just need it to rain. Luckily, the next day, I got rain. Water flowed from the gutter into that first tub, and then water flowed from that first one into the second one, filling that one as well. That's it for this video. You should check out the next video I'm going to do connecting a water pump to these rain barrels and hooking it up to 2 soaker hoses to water our garden. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel.